Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Today, we are breaking down what is honestly one of the most unbelievable underdog stories in modern sports. It's a narrative that proves absolute greatness doesn't always, announce itself with a giant megaphone. Sometimes it just sneaks up on you through sheer unrelenting grit. We're looking at the anatomy of a true legend today, the fascinating, totally unlikely rise of N'Golo Kante.
Okay, let's dive right into this. You've probably heard the saying that some players become legends because of their raw talent, right? While others become legends because of who they are. Now, in football, players usually fall pretty strictly into one of those two camps. But what makes Kanté's journey so absolutely captivating is that he actually became both. He didn't just rely on natural gifts, and he didn't just rely on being a genuinely great guy. He combined an unrelenting character with this undeniable skill in the pitch. But here's the catch. Getting the world to actually recognize that talent, well, that required him to start from the absolute bottom.
So that brings us to our first chapter, Section 1, The Overlooked Dreamer, from Paris to the lower divisions.
And this brilliantly illustrates exactly what we're talking about. Kante was born in Paris to Malian parents. And look, because he was small and quiet, he was just incredibly easy for scouts to overlook. It happens. Unlike your typical future superstars who get scooped up by top academies and surrounded by all this social media hype from day one, Kanté's reality was drastically different. His journey started down in the gritty lower divisions of French football. We're talking small crowds, zero headlines, and absolutely no promises of making it big. It was a tough, foundational environment where he literally had to rely on himself, the pitch, and the sheer will to keep going when nobody else was paying attention.
Which leads us perfectly into Chapter 2, Section 2, The Relentless Rise. No hype, just work.
Because listen, what Kante might have lacked in that early, flashy hype, he absolutely made up for with just pure, unadulterated determination. Every single rejection, it just added fuel to his fire. This was definitely not an overnight success story. Season after season in those lower French divisions, he just put his head down and kept grinding. He kept improving his game, sharpening his stamina, and honing his positional awareness. By mid-career, that relentless grind actually earned him a move to Caen, where he became totally instrumental in helping promote the club to France's top division. Finally, people started to notice this tireless midfielder who commanded the center of the park. And that perfectly set the stage for a massive turning point, signing with Leicester City in 2015.
And man, that brings us to arguably one of the most famous chapters in sports history, Section 3, The Leicester City Miracle, Defying the Odds.
So, when Kante signed for Leicester in 2015, bookmakers gave them almost zero chance of winning the Premier League. We are talking literally 5,000 to 1 odds. Crazy, right? But as we know, football loves a miracle, and Kante was the absolute engine behind it. Week after week, he completely dominated midfield battles with this devastatingly simple rhythm. Tackle, intercept, recover possession. That's it. But he executed this 3-step rhythm with a level of intensity that systematically destroyed opposing teams. He wasn't out there relying on flashy tricks. He was just outworking every single person on the pitch, breaking down plays before they could even fully develop. His presence out there was so overwhelming that it actually birthed this hilarious joke among the fans. Supporters started claiming there were two Kantés, two Kantés on the pitch during matches. Because of his literally superhuman field coverage, Leicester could essentially play like they had an extra man in midfield. This allowed them to totally overpower teams using a traditional 3-man setup. Seriously, you'd see him break up a dangerous play deep in defense, and then mere seconds later, he's sprinting up the pitch supporting the counterattack. It was an unprecedented level of stamina that left seasoned tactical analysts completely stunned. And all of that impossible everywhere at once effort, it culminated in reality. Against all of those astronomical odds, Leicester City actually won the Premier League title. Driven by that quiet, overlooked kid from Paris, they pulled off what still remains one of the greatest underdog stories ever recorded in any sport. Ever. It wasn't just a massive win for the club, it was this incredible testament to the sheer power of an unbreakable work ethic. Let's look at our final chapter now, Section 4, Cementing a Legend. No flukes allowed. Let's move to and see how this builds, because most players, they'd really struggle to repeat a once-in-a-lifetime miracle like that, and critics might have been tempted to call it a fluke or just one lucky season. But when Kante packed up and moved to Chelsea, he proved his greatness immediately. In his very first season, he was the anchor that secured yet another Premier League title. He just did it again, completely seamlessly. And the trophies just kept following. The FA Cup, the Europa League, and finally, the absolute ultimate crown in European club football, the UEFA Champions League.
His greatness was just a permanent fixture of his character, proving for sure that his style of play could elevate any team to the absolute pinnacle of the sport. So, it leaves us with this really huge question. How does a quiet, continuously overlooked player, someone who started with absolutely zero hype in the lower divisions, build one of the most legendary resumes in sports history? Well, it wasn't about natural, flashy gifts that grab immediate attention. It was about relentless work. It was about turning rejection into pure fuel. Kante shows all of us that true legends aren't always the loudest ones in the room. Sometimes, actually, they're just the ones who never, ever stop running. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep learning, and I will see you next time.